There was a little bird. His name was Tukai. Tukai was different from all the other birds. His skin was light blue, his eyes were deep and calm. He never rushed, he didn't jump and fly, and he didn't sing loudly like everyone else. He walked slowly, he thought slowly, and his mind was always thinking about the far side of the sky. Tukai's nest was on the branch of an old pine tree. The tree stood right by the river, and the river was very calm, very blue in color. In the evening, when the water of the river took on the color of the sky, Tukai would sit quietly and watch the game of changing colors. He seemed to get lost in the color of that river, that air, and that sky. Every night before going to sleep, Tukai would look up at the sky and say, "One day I will sit among those distant stars, and I will see the world from below like a little light." His mother used to say, "Tukai, you won't be able to sleep after dreaming so far away. Close your eyes, listen to the sound of the wind. You will also fall asleep very slowly." Tukai would close his eyes. The wind was blowing softly outside. The leaves of the trees moved gently. The water of the river seemed to be singing softly, "Sue, Sue, Sue." Those words would enter Tukai's little heart, and a silent dream would come over his eyes. One night, Tukai dreamed he was flying, but there was no movement, no strong flapping of his wings, as if he had become the wind himself. There were clouds around him, a city and rows of trees below him, mountains and the sun in the distance. He saw an old bird sitting on a mountain, closing its eyes and breathing. Tukai went there and asked, "Do you know how to go beyond the sky?" The old bird opened its eyes and smiled. "You don't need wings to go beyond the sky. You only need peace. When you become completely silent, you will find the sky within yourself." Tukai didn't understand anything, but suddenly the surroundings were filled with white light. He opened his eyes and saw it was dawn. The sun was shining on him. The birds were calling. The river water was singing with the sound of a new day. From that day on, Tukai understood you can't go to the sky just by flying outside. Sometimes you have to let your mind fly. He no longer ran. He walked slowly, taking his time. Every evening he would sit on a tree branch, close his eyes, and dream with the wind. One day, a little bird came and sat next to him and said, "Why are you so quiet? I fall asleep listening to your song." Tukai smiled and said, "The only way to go to the sky is sleep. When you are truly quiet, the sky itself will come to you." And that night, in the moonlight reflecting off the river, Tukai sang his song. He didn't sing, he just breathed, and the soft sound spread through the air. Shoo, shoo, shoo. From that day on, Tukai discovered something new in his song. Now no one is startled by his call, no one pricks their ears. Instead, the birds around him fall asleep to the melody of his song. One morning, Tukai came down from the branches of the big pine tree by the river. He thought, "Let's take a walk today." He flew to a distant meadow where the grass was covered with dew and the sun was making them shine with its light. In the distance, a baby turtle was walking, swaying. Tukai went closer and said, "Why are you walking so slowly? Are you sleepy?" The turtle smiled and said, "No, brother, I always walk like this, slowly, but I don't stop." Tukai fell silent. He liked that saying very much. Slowly, but I don't stop. He thought, this is life. Many of us move forward with a lot of noise, but we stop when we are tired. But those who walk slowly can go far. Then he walked on until he reached a small village. There were some baby birds playing. They were flying and flapping their wings in the clouds, jumping on trees, and then coming to the riverbank and dipping their faces in the water. Suddenly, they stopped when they saw Tukai. A little bird came forward and said, "Are you that bird? The one everyone calls the bird of peace?" Tukai felt ashamed. He lowered his head and said, "I'm not that. I just walk a little slower and sometimes sing." They laughed and said, "Don't you teach us how to dream while we sleep?" Tukai thought, "You can't teach us to sleep, but you can teach us to be calm." He closed his eyes, sat on a branch, and said, "Close your eyes, everyone. Breathe slowly. Listen to the wind. Feel how soft your insides are becoming. When your eyelids become heavy, that is sleep." A little bird said, "But dreams don't come." Tukai said, "Dreams come when your mind wants to make a story." He slowly started telling a story. There was a cloud. It always cried. It would rain, but no one would hear its cries. One day, that cloud came down near a mountain. The mountain said, "Why are you crying?" The cloud said, "I have many things inside me, but no one listens." The mountain said, "Then you tell me in my ear. I will listen." From that day on, the cloud did not cry anymore. It would rain while telling stories, and the mountain would listen silently. The little birds stopped breathing as they listened. Some had their heads buried in the branches, some were sitting by the river and closing their eyes. The wind seemed to have stopped, the sound of the river had become soft. Tukai knew this was sleep. He himself closed his eyes. This is how the day passed. In the evening, he returned to his pine tree home. His mother asked, "Where did you go today?" Tukai said, "I have found new friends. The turtle, the baby bird, the mountain, and that crying cloud. All together, they told a dream story." His mother smiled and said, "You are slowly growing up, Tukai. Now you don't just sing, now you calm your mind." Tukai didn't say anything else that night. He sat by the river. The moon had risen, and his reflection in the water was like a small white feather floating. He watched silently. The wind said, "Go to sleep, Tukai. You have walked a long way today." He closed his eyes. It felt like he had entered the old bird's dream again. The old bird now said, "You are slowly becoming a sky yourself. Remember, real sleep comes when one finds peace in one's own mind." When Tukai woke up the next morning, he said nothing. He just sat silently on the branch of his house. His eyes were half closed, a light smile on his face, and a continuous soft breath in his chest. He was like a story himself, a story of sleep, a story that had no words, only the air like breath, the liquid melody like a river, and the soft silence like a cloud.